to try and have a look at this bug kata. So I'm going to try and demonstrate the process to find this. I've just opened this this kata up. I think there's going to be a few different examples that I'm going to try and have a look at. Again, the way that I'm going to try and do this is just like to go slowly, step by step, and demonstrate the sort of problem-solving mindset to get there. There are two main kinds of bugs that I usually encounter, and students usually encounter. They're like sort of simple ones, and then more complex ones. That can be quite intuitive to think like that. So with two kinds of problems, I like to think of two kinds of ways of solving them. For simple problems or simple bugs, usually you can see it straight away. And you'll probably save time just by changing it there and then once you spot it. Maybe you won't get it right the first time. Maybe there'll be like a couple of things you need to try. But usually it's a very quick process. You can see either it's a typo or just a mistake. I'm going to try and demonstrate the second approach, which is like a more methodical, sort of rigorous approach of finding what's happening rather than trying to randomly change things. And this is the process that you sort of switch into after you try a little bit, trying to guess what's happening. When you realize, okay, this is actually not a simple problem, this is a more complicated problem. And these are normal situations. So I'm looking at my interface here. I have a method in my solution box. I've got some instructions. The instructions don't really give me that much help. What could be easy in very integer numbers, however, it doesn't recognize some of the special numbers for a reason to be found. Cool. So it gives me some information in the test down below about like what exactly they're trying to get me to do. Where there are sort of two conditions and an else condition. So I'm going to just run the tests and see what happens first of all. What's failing? So this is giving me like a direction to go, and it's trying to say that so far we've got things as expected, but the last one isn't expected. So the first thing we do is just start logging. Logging is a word I use just to say to understand what's happening by getting my program to print out lines of some values that evaluate lines of code. So for example, maybe I want to start off here and just say I want to get the value of x. And let's just run it like this to see what we're getting. So I'm going to try and focus on this last test. So we're having an initial value of x, and then the next line that says is this expression that gets evaluated. It tries to evaluate whether the result of this method is equal to. It tries to evaluate this method. And so the next stage is to figure out what does this do. It looks like it's trying to compare two things. And then we go into, if that's true, it will return everything. Otherwise, it'll go into the next condition. I'll try and do the results of this condition. If it's true, it does this. Otherwise, every other condition apart from these two conditions returns nothing. And the one that we need to worry about is this last one. I'm going to have a look at what's happening here. So imagine we're in this condition, and the next stage is always to continue finding what's happening. And I'm going to just log move this down here so you can see a little bit easier. And just like keep double checking things. And the worst thing to do is to make assumptions. So I'm always going to try and just like get my program to feedback to me like what's actually happening. And I wanted that to log, but we didn't because we didn't actually hit this condition. So you can see here that I expected this to pop out in my output, but clearly we haven't actually hit this condition. Otherwise, if we did, we would actually end up returning this. So I'm going to just move this back out to and just worry about the last one because that's the one that I'm trying to compare. So it looks like at the moment I have some information that says these two things look like they are the same thing. So then I'm going to do a couple more tests and just like try to verify some things. So then I'm going to say, okay, so let's grab this condition. And I'm going to just double check my methodical nature. This looks like it should be true, right? We've seen here that they are looks like the same thing. So then the question is, well, is it true? So I'm logging 3 lines: the initial value, the compared value, and then a comparison of these two according to what this method does. So you can see in this test I'm trying to get past, we have the initial value with the compare value, but then it's comparing to be false. So that's interesting. It's trying to compare these two things so using x dot equal question mark and then providing the argument and saying that this is actually returning false. So I know there's another way to compare values. I'm just going to give a quick double check before I go on to my next step, which is x the same as 42 to the power of 42? So let's see whether there's a difference. You can see there is a difference. So it gives us some information now. That says that there's a difference between the way these two methods work. So the next point after that is actually, well, let's figure out what this equal method is doing. So I'm going to go to my browser. Oh, look at that. For some reason I was looking up the moons of satellite. And then I'm going to just type in Ruby equal method. And it's not quite the official documentation, but I've already scanned this and had a look at the reason. And the reason here is because the two methods are different. They don't work in the same way. The double equals operator just tests if they are equal, whereas the method makes sure that they are referring to the same object. Using my newfound knowledge, I can essentially change the code here to be equals and equals. And I passed the test. So object IDs, or referring to objects rather than referring to the values, is something that I'll probably try to explain in a different video. and because this is just about trying to go through a methodical problem-solving process and trying to debug. So notice the approach that I went. I didn't try to assume anything. I tried to take it methodically, starting with just logging values to understand is the thing happening that I expected to happen, and verifying my assumptions, and just working line by line to understand what was going on, and using documentation to research things that I maybe didn't know. So that's this one.